the devil tryna knock me down.
Thank you, God.
He like, why you keep smiling? If you feel like they don't love you and they tryna break you down, man, you gotta keep smiling.
What's up? This is Hometown Hero, your favorite self-love photographer, and we are back with part 2, LaDasha Diamond, My Life Story. Y'all thought it was over? Nope. There's more we're going to dive into, and this is going to be about the journey of healing and finding peace within and all that good stuff. We're going to talk about some heavy stuff, but we're going to do it because we want to help somebody else get out of their situation or heal from their situation. So let's go. All right, so Diamond, first of all, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Doing great.
So we're going to talk about relationships. We're just going to go head first. So the first question is, what is your definition of love?
My definition of love. That's a really, really, really broad question, but I would think that love is having affection towards somebody, admiration towards somebody, and putting your own self needs and desires, not secondary, but sacrificing sometimes the things you may want for love. I'll give an example. So let's just say I'm in a relationship and I want to go out with my girlfriends, but my partner wants to spend time with me. We've been working all week. He wants to spend time with me. So I might make that sacrifice not to go out with my girlfriends this weekend and spend time with the person I love, right? Just want to make sure you're balancing that. And I think love definitely comes from within. You have to love yourself first before you can give love to others. So I feel like love is an action and it comes with boundaries.
So would you say you've ever been in love?
Yeah, I like to say that I've been in love before.
And how did you know that you were in love?
Okay.
What was that feeling?
The feeling, okay. I think that the first time I fell in love was with my kid's father. I was about 17 years old, and I had thought I was in love before, but the difference of this love than any other love, which lets me know that I think this was my first time of being in love, was that it was a driving force that was like beyond me. Like the love was deeper than what I can like think about or like intentionally like want to do. It was like, it was driving me like, I love this person. I want to be with this person. I want to sacrifice for this person. I want to have children with this person. I respect this person. I admire this person. I love this person. And it was a feeling of just like, I didn't have really control of myself or my own emotions at that time. So that's what let me know that it was like real love.
So do you remember the moment that you said to yourself, I love this person?
Yeah, I mean, it was at a time. So I was 17 years old. It's like a really long time ago. But it was like I said, I had been with dudes before. I had dated guys before. I had even had sex before I met my kid's father at 17. But the difference was that driving force that I didn't want to be without him. I didn't see myself without him. I wanted to be a family with him. I wanted to have his children. I wanted to just be with him all the time. And it was something like beyond me. It was like a spiritual force, like something more internal that was pushing me towards the love in the relationship.
Can you describe your earliest romantic experience?
Oh, my earliest romantic experience. I mean, I probably kissed my first boy when I was 13 years old. It was real cool. It was with a boy named Antonio. He was from my school, Whittier Elementary. I think I was in the 5th grade. He was in the 6th grade. I really liked him. He had a twin named Antonia. So I liked them. And I kissed him. And I really, really liked him. But he was a little older than me. And I don't think he liked me as much. So that was like my first romantic, like that I can really remember. Now, I did have little boyfriends like in the kindergarten and the 1st grade. But I don't think that was like really romantic. You know, I played the boys chase the girls. I really didn't like it. In tag and stuff like that. But I think it was once I was in around the 5th or 6th grade. I had my first romantic encounter, which was a kiss.
So we're in a new generation now. So it's about pronouns and all that stuff. And we want to respect folks' pronouns, right? So, how do you identify? What would you say your pronouns are?
Okay, well, I've been like questioning myself about this for several years now. Like you said, it's a thing. So the LGBTQ, I always kind of wondered what the Q stood for. And once I found out it stood for queer, I resonate more with the queer side of LGBTQ. I'm not quite bisexual, even though I've had encounters with women before, but I'm not quite a lesbian. I still prefer men over women, but I am open to experiences. So I believe that I'm queer, and my pronouns are she, them, she, they.
You know, it's interesting that you say that because I've had conversations with women and they say, listen, I don't want to build a life with a woman. I just want to have a little fun. And I say, hey, you know what? If that is what your experience in life is in that particular department, have at it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about being free.
Exactly. Being free and experimenting and just finding out what you like and what you don't like. You
And
won't know unless you try it.
Exactly. You don't know unless you try it. It's like a kid eating. I don't like pizza. How do you know if you never had it?
Right.
So
I tried it on, and so she, they, she, them, and then also Two Spirit is something that resonates for me.
what's that? Expound on that.
Two Spirit. The way it was explained to me is that we have masculine and feminine energy within us. And I've always been really balanced with my masculine and my feminine side. So I feel like in some ways I'm just two-spirited. I mean, in most ways I'm two-spirited, and it's like sometimes I'm in my masculine energy, I'm getting things done, I'm action-oriented, and other times I'm in my feminine energy where I'm more relaxed and receiving and magnetically bringing things to me. So I think it's a balance of both. And I think just to be calling myself feminine or she or female would not really honor the masculine side of me, like with yin and yang, or, masculine, feminine. I think we all have a balance of it.
So you talk about, identifying more with the queer acronym within the LGBT community. Can you talk about your attraction to both sides?
Yeah. I think for as being attracted to men, it's just natural. I'm a woman. I'm naturally attracted to the opposite gender or sex, right? I like the way men look. I like the way men fit with me and my body. I like the way men feel, like the strength of a man. I like the whole idea of protecting and providing. I like sometimes a taller man so I can feel like I can just lay on his shoulder or whatever. And with the woman, I feel like the nurturing side, the soft side, the more emotional side, and just me being able to kind of be myself as a woman without kind of like hiding things. Because sometimes with men-female relationships, male-female relationships, I think we're sharing who we are with one another, but I think there's some type of apprehension to that. Like, if I'm on my period, I'm having cramps, it's not like the story I want to tell my man, but it's something I might share with my girlfriend.
Do you have a favorite person or partner and why?
All right, so I've had several relationships within my life, and you have those favorites, you have those relationships or those people you never forget. So I have one person that came in my life. I could actually say two. I have two people that came in my life that really, really, really showed me unconditional love. The first person, and they're both Virgos, which is really a trip. And I'm compatible with Virgos, Taurus, Pisces, Scorpios, and Cancers because I'm a Capricorn. So earth and water go well together with me. So they're both were Virgos. The first one was really cool. I really liked the way he looked out for me and my children, and he accepted me as like a package deal. The only thing with that is that he suffered from his own mental health problems and his own drug addiction. So because of that, it's the only reason we're not together. But other than that, we had a really great relationship. We dressed alike, we took pictures, we shared chores, we shared money, we shared cars. It was one of the best relationships I had in my life. And I'm really sad that it had to end because of drug addiction. Right? So my second one happened not too long after that one. And this person was a Virgo too. The difference with that was there was a big age difference. And even though the person was mature, they were really there for me. And they showed me more about being friends within a relationship. They showed me how if the love is there, you don't have to fret, you don't have to worry, you don't have to, like trip off them being gone or not calling or not coming back on time and all this stuff. A lot of things that us women do to men, and just recognize like men are kind of like dogs. They're gonna roam, but they will find their way back home. He helped me figure that out and understand that, and that's one of my best friends.
So let me go a little deeper. Do you feel with either of these people? Let's just talk about the brother, maybe with the drug addict. Do you think if he cleansed himself of that demon, that it could possibly work in the future?
No, not at this point. I mean, I don't waste my time going backwards. Not to say people aren't wasting time, but that was like 15, 20 years ago.
Oh, yes.
I mean, that person had a lot of things, a lot of karma built up, a lot of life lessons that they have to go through. And at this point, I would just be getting drugged into their karma. And I'm not willing to do that because for the last 15, 20 years, I've been working on making my life better. So I prefer and I deserve to be with someone who's done the same with their life.
So last time we talked about forgiveness. We talked about forgiveness of your father, of your aunt. So we're gonna bring that back. Yeah. Do you feel even though there's no no reconciliation, have you found within yourself to forgive those particular people for the ills that you guys have experienced in their relationship?
Definitely. There's no love lost. I never hated this person at all. I've always loved this person. This person just has a drug addiction. That's not my problem. I had to accept and recognize that that's their problem and their journey, and that's what they have to go through. And I can't take that on. A part of love, when I talked about it, I talked about discipline and boundaries and loving yourself as well as the other. So for me, love is tough. So I love you, but that doesn't mean I'm going to allow you to drag me down with you in your choices and decisions that you freely make as an adult.
Yes.
We're not dealing with children. I have children, and that's why I left. Because I'm not going to let you take me down to where I'm not there for my children and let my children see something that may make them think growing up is okay. And that wasn't okay, and it's still not okay. Like I said back then, hard drugs is a no for me.
So, on to something a little bit more lighthearted.
Okay.
Describe your ideal relationship.
Oh, my ideal relationship. I've always had this ideal in my mind since a little girl. I kind of based it off the Cosby Show. And please don't judge me. We all have to have something to look to for inspiration. So if I looked at my household, I didn't see anything. Mom was dead. Dad was in detox program, right? Raised by my grandma.
I mean, to your point, but before you continue, I mean, Bill Cosby or Cliff Huxtable was a lot of people's father figure growing up. So,
Exactly.
It is what it is.
So that's kind of how I started basing my ideal relationship, which was two adults working in professional careers, whether it's a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer, whatever it is, engineer, scientist, whatever. I just saw myself with a partner who was just as ambitious, just as goal-oriented, successful as me, a person with emotional intelligence that can communicate their needs, communicate their desires, communicate their issues and challenges effectively, a person who has self-discipline, who doesn't fight to get their needs met and their point across, someone who's spiritual based or even grew up in religion, because then I know that they put God first and they respect moral and universal laws. Someone who believes in karma, someone who cares about the earth and nature, and just spending time with one another, prioritizing one another, prioritizing the relationship, communicating with one another, going out on dates, traveling, saving money, building a future, building a legacy, and clearing up the credit, buying property, things like that.
So, love can be good and bad, right? It can have its ups and its downs. So, to that point, have you ever been heartbroken?
Heartbroken, yes. I would like to say I've been heartbroken a couple times.
Okay. So walk us through that experience if you're comfortable.
Okay. I'm gonna walk through maybe 3. So the first heartbreak was when I lost my virginity. I'm just be real. I lost my virginity, right? And here's why. I was really scared about having sex. I kept hearing stories about your cherry getting popped. I didn't know exactly what that meant, but it didn't sound that good for a young girl, right? So they were telling me I'm gonna get my cherry popped, I'm gonna bleed everywhere, it's gonna hurt. So I'm like, oh my God, right? So I'm getting older, I'm getting like 13, 14 years old. And I'm thinking the older the guy is, the bigger his penis is. This is what I'm thinking because I didn't know. I never had sex. I didn't know. So I'm thinking if he's 16, his penis is going to be bigger than if he's 14. And if he's 18, it's really going to be big. And if he's 25, it's just going to be huge, right? So I'm like, if my cherry going to get popped, I might as well get it popped when I'm younger versus older. So I ended up having sex around 14 and 8th grade. And I got cheated on by this guy with a neighbor, and it really broke my heart. But I know he loved me and everything, but she was more seductive, and she could stay out later, and she was just all in his face, and they were drunk one night, and you know how it goes. They had sex. So it really broke my heart.
Okay.
All right, so the second time, let me tell you, the second time I really got my heart broke was with my kid's father. I was really in love, you know, and I never had kids before, so this was like super serious. Like I had children come out my body, and I made children with this person, you know. So to be disrespected, abused, cheated on, lied to was really, really heartbreaking after making such a big sacrifice.
Right.
I sacrificed my body. I sacrificed my life. I sacrificed my education and going to college. Delayed but not denied. I still got my degree, but it took a long time. And just suffering of that heartbreak, it takes a toll on your mental health, and it takes a toll on your relationship with others and your children. So, yeah, that was a really tough heartbreak. And then I would say the third heartbreak was after years and years of like not getting serious in relationships after my divorce, just kind of having flings, just having, you know, just like short relationships where I know I was just playing in it and I wasn't really taking it serious, which was cool because it was mutual on both sides. We're just friends, we're just hanging out, we have mutual partners or multiple partners, we're doing the poly thing, it's no big deal. But once I decided to get serious in a relationship, I realized I was being played. I was played into a relationship, tricked into a relationship, and then while in that relationship, played in that relationship. That was very heartbroken because I went into that relationship all in, very genuine, with the best intentions possible for a really great outcome, and it didn't happen, and that really, really broke my heart. Not to say that I hadn't had heartbreaks or relationships ending didn't make me sad. I had reactions to all my relationships that may have ended or changed in the way that we interacted, but those 3 really, really stuck out to me. And the baby daddy, ex-husband, and the last one was really, really tough.
So let's flip it around. Have you ever broke anybody's heart?
Well, I'm sure I have broken people's hearts because that's just inevitable in life. I think we hurt people unintentionally sometimes. So I feel like I've never done it on purpose. I've never led someone on. I can say that. I never pretended like I was in a relationship with someone that I wasn't, or never pretended like I wanted to be with someone and didn't. But maybe someone had a crush on me. They liked me, or they thought it was going to go a certain way, and maybe I friend zoned them, and maybe they're heartbroken. I'm not sure, but I'm sure that could have happened. I apologize. I didn't mean it, but you know.
So have you ever redated an ex?
You know, I don't really do the backtracking. I just don't see a point in going backwards. But I think I have dated someone I used to date in the past, but it was never like a breakup or ending. It was just kind of like picked up where it left off. So definitely, yes, I've done that. Like I had met a guy, let's say 2010, 2012, and then rekindled with the guy 2023, 2024. Okay, that was cool.
All right, so now let's get spicy.
Who's getting out of here?
It is hot. What are your deal breakers in a relationship?
this is something that took me a long time to figure out. And I actually worked on this with my BetterHelp coach. BetterHelp therapy, yeah. Try it. It helps. So I use therapy for relationship advice. I even use therapy for organization. So therapy is not just like psychosis and psychosis and all that stuff. You can use a therapist if you procrastinate a lot or if you are always busy and you don't know how to like work out your schedule. So I started using therapy for stuff like that. So for me right now, what I've been working on in therapy is recovering from toxic relationships and patterns that I've been noticing that aren't for my highest good. So me and my therapist have been working on things like deal breakers and non-negotiables. So one of my deal breakers is physical violence, put downs, lack of ambition, severe heavy drug use and alcohol addiction. I don't date guys that smoke. I don't smoke cigarettes or black
Cigarettes are a
and
major
things like
turn
that.
off.
It's a major turn off, and I do not like guys that smoke cigarettes. You'll never really see me with that. Those are the basics. In a person who's like a Satan worshiper or something, you have to love God and trust God and believe in God. So no violence, no drugs, no lying, no put downs, and no Satan worshiper.
All right, that's interesting. I mean, but that's real.
You meet some different people out here in this world, and the older you get, the more experiences you have, and it teaches you some things.
For sure. So, what are your non-negotiables?
Right. So, my non-negotiables are, like I said, it's similar to the previous question. A person has to have a job, their own money, and a place to stay. Before you even think about take care of me or being with me, I want to know that you can take care of yourself independently without me. You shouldn't need me to help you pay your bills or your car note or, take care of you. I want to know that you can do that for yourself because in my mind, a man is the provider. Not to say I won't pull my own weight, I will, but will you? Is the question. So that, and then, like no hate crimes, no put downs, have your own money, have your own place, and just treat me right. Treat me with respect. Respect is a big thing. Dignity and respect. I am a woman. If the man's supposed to be a leader, then lead. You know what I mean? If the man's a provider, protector, and they want all this honor and respect, then you have to show it. Put yourself in position to be respected. Put yourself in position to be submitted to. I wouldn't mind submitting to a man who is safe.
I'm glad you brought that up. Let's expound on that. A lot of men say, I want a woman that's going to submit to me, but it's like, bro, you got a bucket car. You don't really have an apartment. You're not responsible, not only in a relationship, but just with your own life. Why would a woman submit to you?
No.
Like, as a man, I don't understand that.
Right.
And I think that a lot of men, we have this, like, we don't really know the real definition of submission. I think we see the Muslim community and they're taught that. And a lot of other communities outside of the black community, they're taught submission in a different way. But like we talk about within Islam, you're permitted to have as many wives as you can afford. But at the same time, what people fail to realize, if you buy wife number one a Benz, you got to buy them all a Benz.
That's right.
Or you got to be able to afford to be able to do that. And I think a lot of times a brother will say, oh, I want a woman that submit. Yeah, that's cool. But if you don't make her feel good, why would she submit to you? Like,
right.
Not even just in a physical form. It's just like in any form. If you talk mess to her, like, or you disrespect her, that don't make her want to, like, you won't even wash a dish.
It just makes her want to run away.
Exactly.
From you. So yeah, for me, submission is a mutual respect. Men submit to women and women submit to me. It could be just a matter of, honey, can you open this for me? Or can you grab this for me? Or can you run to the store for me? Him saying, yes, hun, I got you is a form of submission. Not like, nah, you do it yourself, which is a lot of times what these men these days do. They have this false identity of superiority. And I think it comes from male patriarchy in America. that you're just entitled to being submitted to, and you're just entitled of being a leader or authoritative figure. And that's not the case if you're not stepping up into that position and putting yourself in a position to be an authority figure or someone to be submitted to. And like I said, I wouldn't mind doing that. And I think women naturally do that when they do feel safe, they feel protected, they feel like their needs are being met and that they're being heard when they're speaking. To be. Continue.
So, have you ever been married? And were there any children from that union?
Yeah. So I've been married before I got married really young. I was 19 years old. I found out I was pregnant, and my kid's father said, you know what? I always wanted to marry you. It's a little bit sooner than I expected, but let's get married. I don't want you to have a baby out of wedlock. I thought that was beautiful. So we have 2 sons and 1 grandson together. Ronald Berry, LaDasha Berry, Joshua Berry, Kayla Berry, and now Cash Berry. So I have a little family.
Beautiful. So, how was marriage for you? How was the co-parenting dynamic?
All right, so a lot of the troubles in my marriage was that we were really young, and there was a lot of power dynamics with the masculine and the feminine, and with my ex-husband like really believing that women had a place and men was ahead of women and controlling them. And also with co-parenting or parenting the children, our ideas of parenting the children were a lot different. For one thing, he didn't want the children to have shots at the time. And for me, I was open to them not having shots, but some shots I felt like they should have, like whooping cough was going around at the time, and pertussis or something. And it's just like the benefits of a shot versus the detriments of a shot. I was like navigating that, and I was really young. So it was like he was getting really mad at me for being really young and not really knowing yet. He was a little older and more mature when it came to that. So things like that were a challenge. And instead of him giving me time to grow and time to learn and nurturing me through that, he wanted to control me through that and abuse me through that and beat that into me and throw water on me and throw books at me and things like that. And I just felt like that wasn't the way for me to learn. And I was in a submissive and vulnerable position. I just had children. So my body was vulnerable. I was vulnerable. My emotions were vulnerable. And I wasn't being protected and taken care of and treated with dignity or respect and honor. I just had your children out my body. So it just felt like it wasn't a union for me.
So, to your point about children out of wedlock, there's a thing that exists called shotgun marriages. And, particularly with our elders, grandma might get pregnant. Great granddaddy, like, you gonna marry my daughter? Like, we ain't doing that, because that was what that time was.
Yeah.
Do you feel that with you getting married in particular, your ex-husband felt like, well, let me just marry her to make her happy? Let me say what I gotta say to make her happy? Not necessarily you were pushing to get married, but just let me say what sounds good right now, and let's just do it. And then also on the flip side of that, him, maybe even though he's a little older, maybe not knowing how to be a husband. A lot of black folks, we jump into marriages and we don't know how to be husbands or wives because we never seen it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
what would you say to that?
I think it has a lot to do with a little bit of all of that. I do believe he had pressure on him from his family. I think we were both raised in very traditional religious families where, you would either wait to have sex or be married first, or if you do have sex out of wedlock and you make a baby, the responsible thing is to take care of the child and marry the mother of the child, right? So I think that was a part of it. But I was never pressuring this guy to marry me. I actually did not want to get married, and I actually was forced into getting married. I kind of punked into getting married. Like, I'm sitting there, he's asking me to marry him. I'm like, well, I'm going to think about that. I'm not quite sure because I've already seen red flags in you that I'm not sure if I want to marry you. And he basically like threw water on me and said I asked you to marry me. So I'm like, okay, fine. I'm 4 months pregnant. Like, okay. Because he's like, I can't go to my family with you pregnant and we're not married. So that's the way that went.
That's heavy.
Yeah.
So, final question on this segment. Describe your wedding day. You obviously said, hey, I wasn't trying to get me.
Okay, I'll answer this and then I do have a final question. My wedding day was not the wedding day that I imagined. My wedding day was at City Hall in Oakland, and my honeymoon was at Lake Mary. No one was there but some Chinese lady who didn't speak English, and that was our witness. It really pissed me off. And on top of that, I wear this ring because I'm married to the game. Right now, I'm married to God, but during my marriage, my auntie offered us her wedding ring, and my ex-husband would not even accept it, which was such a disrespect to me and my family. That just really hurt me. So my marriage to me it wasn't even real. To me, I divorced this guy, but it felt like it was an annulment. It didn't feel like I was really married.
So, given the experience that you've been through, and you say, hey, this felt like more of an annulment, not a divorce, would you ever get married again?
With the right person, the right situation, I would love to be married again because I've always wanted to be married, and I feel like I'm naturally a wife. I'm very nurturing. I want to cater to my husband. I have a lot of love to give, and I want to be in a partnership.
So what would you say was your takeaways and lessons learned through that experience?
Yeah, I think it's to go with your first mind. Don't let someone pressuring you into doing something you really don't want to do. If someone is forcing you to be with them, marry them, sleep with them, if you have a boundary, then get yourself to safety and stand on that boundary, right? And always, always love yourself. Put yourself first, trusting to your own intuition and trusting your family. Because a lot of times in toxic relationships, the guy will attempt to isolate you from your family and get you away from your family. And that is a red flag. Most guys who are good guys, they don't want to take you away from your family. They want you to be with your family. So people who are trying to keep you away from your family, making you keep secrets, not telling this and that, those to me are red flags that person is not safe and unhealthy. And once a person starts breaking things or yelling and throwing things, that's just a sign that person pretty soon will start hitting you. So I would just say, before you work on being in a relationship, work on yourself. Work on loving yourself, knowing what your non-negotiables are, knowing what your deal breakers are first and ahead of time. So that way when you get in a relationship, you have direction and guidance. You can say, you know what? I don't date men who hit. I don't date guys who use powder. I don't date guys who ride around with guns. I don't do those certain things. And then that'll keep you out of a lot of toxic situations.
So that was a heavy conversation in regards to relationships. What would you say, not necessarily even just advice, just what is a message you would give to young girls all over the globe who deal with people who are people like that?
This is my slogan. Self-love is the best love. And the reason I say that is because if you love yourself first, you'll be able to navigate loving others or allowing other people in your life who don't love you the way you love yourself.
Man, part 2 is done. That was a beautiful conversation. And I hope that can help somebody who's dealing with a situation like that or who got out of a situation like that. Because that's what this is about. Yes, it's about you telling your story, but it's also about helping not only yourself, but helping other people. So we'll see you on part 3.
Thank you.
I done been through so much shit that they were trying to knock me down.
Thank you, God.
He like, why you keep smiling? If you feel like they don't love you and they trying to break you down, man, you gotta keep smiling.